restore practice. So I will mute you all now. And we'll come to, we're going to start off on our backs today. There we go. And from your back, just make yourself comfortable for a moment. So we'll do our centering here. But as you maybe bend your knees or maybe let your legs come out all the way straight, whichever feels the best. Come to a comfortable place with your arms. Sometimes it's nice to connect hands to your heart and hands to your belly or whatever feels good here. But take a big couple of breaths, starting to send your breath into your back body. Eyes can be open or closed. But watch your breath move. And if you think of watching your breath move from your crown to your tail on your inhale, and from your tail to your crown on your exhale, might be a little opposite of what you're used to. Take a few moments to think of it in that direction. Inhale, crown to tail. Exhale, tail to crown. And even more so, begin to notice the inhale moving from crown to tail across your front body, from tail to crown up your back body. A few more breaths this way. And now for another moment, tune into an intention for yourself, for your practice. Or you can tune into dedicating your practice to someone or something. But choose what that thought or intention is that you would like. And now you can softly open your eyes if you would like to. But separate your knees and walk your feet out a little wider than your hips, maybe even as wide as your mat. And start those gentle movements side to side with your knees. So you have both knees going to one side, both knees going to the other side with those windshield wipers. Starting gently with these here. We'll add them at the end again so you can take them a little deeper if you would like to. Just letting yourself find a little bit of hip release, maybe into the low back. Maybe this is even moving all the way up into your low rib area. As you take a couple more on each side, let the pause be a little longer. Give yourself that chance to notice a little bit more of what's there for you on each side. And then back into center now, walking your feet in and draw knees as close in toward your chest as is comfortable. And remember that can be narrow with your knees or wide, whichever feels the best right now. Holding on to the knees or maybe around the back sides of the thighs. Take a couple of rocks here, letting the back body lengthen a little bit. And now holding on to the right knee, extend the left leg out all the way against the ground and take a couple breaths, pulsing your right knee in and out a few times. So use your exhale to draw it in, inhales to let it release. On your next inhale, switch sides, hugging your left knee in, and again, add a few breaths with pulses here. On your next inhale, switch sides. And this time we're keeping a hold with our right hand on our right knee and opening it up to the right side. Give your foot a flex and then add a little bit of movement here. It can be a little forward and back, or it can be in and out towards center and then open. You can switch between these movements if you would like to. And now back into center. And as you give your knee a good hug in towards your side, take a full couple of breaths and let your exhales draw it in just a little closer. And now just gently take your leg across your body to the left side. So you're coming to this little bit of a spinal twist. You can always add a prop underneath your knee here if you would like, or just simply rest your foot against your leg, hand against the outside of your leg if you want. Take a couple big breaths and let your breath help you to pulse a little bit in this pose. And now coming back into center, go ahead and set right foot on the ground and draw your left knee in towards your chest. And we're going to extend the right leg all the way out and open the left knee up to the left side. Flexing your foot, take a couple big breaths and do a little bit of movement here. A little forward and back, a little in and out. And now back into center. And again, we missed the pulsing, but hug your knee in and then pulse within that hug. So as you exhale, hug the knee in just a little bit more. And then take your leg across your body, taking that spinal twist over to the right side. And again, you can rest your foot right against your other leg if you want to. You can prop your knee up if that's where you are today, or you can just simply rest your hand on the outside of your leg, but use your breath to help you pulse within the pose. And now back into center, and you're setting both feet on the ground now. and take your arms out to a cactus. And if cactus is tricky for the shoulders or anywhere through the rotator cuff, then you're welcome to have your arms out at a T instead. But from here, notice a little movement downward with your ribs. So press a little bit through the ribs, just gently, and then take a big breath into your rib cage, thinking of letting your ribs expand and contract with breath. And now a little side to side movement with your head, shaking your head no. And nodding your head yes. And now go ahead and draw your knees back up in towards your chest and hug them in, again, wide or narrow, little extra rock here. And then we're rolling over to our sides and pushing ourselves up to hands and knees. And from hands and knees, let's step right foot forward in between our hands. You might have blocks underneath your hands here if you would like. But take a moment to work your back knee back as far as it needs to go, lengthening the back thigh, extend your heart forward, and just focus here for a moment on letting your hips come to a little more centered place. So wrapping a little bit back with the right hip. Take a full, big, deep breath. And now you can stay with hands on blocks, maybe rise up to a higher point, or you can come to hands all the way up to your hips, starting to get a little bit more opening through the torso, sometimes getting into that longer hip flexor in the body, the psoas. Take a full, big, deep breath here. And now exhale, hands come back down to your blocks, and we'll work front leg towards straight, getting a little more into the hamstrings. And as you find that straighter place for your legs, your blocks underneath your hands to help lengthen your heart forward as opposed to rounding through your spine here. Maybe shift your foot a little further forward on that front leg, draw toes back, and wrap your hip back. Extend forward with your heart, extend back with sitting bones. Take a big breath. And then bend into your front knees, set both hands, settle back into a child's pose, moving hips back towards your heels as far as you need to go. Take a couple big breaths and check out what's there, what's present in your body today. And then come back to hands and knees and step left foot forward. Again, maybe you have blocks for hands here. Work back with your back knee, getting that length through your thigh. Extend forward with your heart. A little centering action with your hips. Big, deep breath. And then you can come higher on blocks. You can bring hands up to your knee. You can bring hands to your hips. And open up even more through your heart space. So if your hands are down, think of lifting your chest. If they're at your knee, chest lifts. If they're at your hips, open up through the chest. Longer stretch and reach from your back knee all the way up into your ribs in your front here. Exhaling, hands come down to your blocks. Work your front leg towards straight, finding that place of a little bit more comfort by bumping your foot a little forward or back, whatever you need to do here. Pull toes back and then draw sitting bones up, extend your heart forward, big deep breath. Now inhale, bend into your front knee, set both hands, and again, settle back, both knees back, and hips to heels. Take a child's pose with a little bit of movement through your hips. Walk your hands a little further forward, deep breath. And now inhale, rise back up to your hands and knees. And we're going to take that lunge one more time, but add a little more chest opening. So step right foot forward, work your back knee back. And now again, you have all those options for your hands. The last option here is to take your hands behind you to clasp. Lift up and open through your chest, expand. Take a full big deep breath as you settle a little deeper into your front knee. Give a little gentle press into the back knee so that your hip stays a little elevated. Full big breath. And now hands come down to the front and walk your hands to the inside. We're going to heel toe our right foot out to the right. So toes and knee are off at an angle. You might readjust your back knee. I usually have to here. And then lift up with the front part of your foot so you have the rotation point of your heel. And then open and close your knee a couple times. Then keeping it as open as your body is ready for. Now move your hips a little forward and back here. Gentle movement through the hips, not necessarily sinking as far as they can possibly go. And now heel toe your foot back in and settle back, hands and knees, pause on hands and knees. And this time, we're going to take a side to side sway, getting a little more into the outside edges of our legs. Or maybe your hips just come a little ways to the side. Maybe they come to touching or almost touching the ground. And then back into center to step left foot forward. Work your back knee back as far as you need, and then take your variation here. If you'd like, you can have that clasped hand place as you lift your chest up. Entirely up to you. Lift your shoulders up and back. Open up through the heart space. Take a full big breath. And as you bend a little deeper into your front knee, remember that back knee push to help you stay a little bit elevated into the back hip. And then releasing hands down, we're coming back to the inside here with our hands. So blocks if you want, you don't have to. Work your left leg, left knee and toes open to the left. Extend your heart forward and then lift up with the front part of your foot so you're on your heel. And take a little opening and closing here. And then as open as it feels good, and then move your hips a little forward and back. And now bring your foot back into center. And as you settle back on the hands and knees, we're going to take one more child's pose, and this time if you want to add the bolster underneath your torso, you can. Knees can be wide or narrow. If they're wide, you might pull the bolster in between your legs a little bit to rest your belly. Maybe turn your head sideways. Take a couple big breaths and let yourself settle in the places that you're able to. Notice where you're not able to, if there are tense places that are staying, holding on. And use your breath to help you calm, to help you soothe. If you'd like, you can switch the direction of your head if you have it turned. And then gently bring yourself back upright. And you're pushing the bolster toward the front of your mat. And we'll take a restorative twist here. So turning to the right side. We're going to bend our knees, and you can shift the angle, change the angle to whatever you need with your legs. But then turn your belly and your hips a little bit and rest over your bolster. Remember that in our restorative poses, we're trying to find that place that allows us to settle, allows any places that are holding on to tension to release and let go. So if you need to, gently shift in your pose. Find what's more comfortable. Now gently use your hands to bring yourself upright. And then turn yourself around to face the left side. Knees are bent. And then turn your hips, turn your belly, turn your heart towards your bolster, and then rest. And again, remember, we're not symmetrical. So notice how this side feels and adjust for this side. And now gently press into the ground to bring yourself back upright. And turn yourself to face forward. You can move your bolster aside. Then we're going to take a little bit more of a stretch through the glutes and the hips. So right leg, right hip comes right up against the right side of your mat. Right shin parallel approximately to the front of your mat. Left leg, knee straight out to the side, shin parallel to the side of your mat. And from here, use your fingertips to help you sit tall and just notice. I always have a little extra tension through my hip when I do this before I do the stretch. So just notice what's there for you. Maybe nothing, maybe sitting is easy. And then walk your way forward as far as you need to go. Use a prop if you want to underneath your elbows, or bring elbows all the way down, or maybe your head all the way down. Come to where that stretch is a helpful place, and not some place where your nervous system is cinching up tight. Notice if you can use your breath to help parts of you that are holding on to release even a tiny bit more. And now gently bring yourself more upright. And we're going to take our right hand back behind our right hip at a diagonal. Lift up with your heart. And then with your left hand, if it feels okay, you can do a little rotating of your left hip more forward. Maybe lean your head back a little ways. Take a full good breath. And then gently back upright. And start to walk your hands forward again, but this time we're going to take them out to the right. And with them out to the right, think of your right hand straight to the right. Your left hand goes to the right too. So you're starting to turn your torso here. You can physically pick up your belly and your ribs and turn a little bit more if that's in your practice. You can stay right here. You might work your way down toward elbows. You might take your back leg, your left leg, and use your big toe to help you walk it more straight back. So it's like a modified pigeon pose here. So you decide where that is for you. A big, full, deep breath. And recognize that you can back off at any point. And then bring your hands back into center. And we're going to switch sides simply. Bring your weight over to your right hip. And bring both legs out in front. And then left hip comes to the side of your mat. Left shin approximately parallel to the front of your mat. Right leg out to the right side. And shin parallel to the side of your mat. And use fingertips to help you sit up. And then notice if the sensations are any different on this side. And then we're going to walk our way forward first, coming into that fold over the front leg. And again, use a prop here if you would like to. Just recognize for yourself if sensations are in the same place or in a different place. Or whatever the differences happen to be on this side, notice. And utilize your breath to help you calm, soothe. And then gently use your hands to support you to come back upright. Left hand comes diagonally back behind your hip. Right hand can help your hip roll a little forward. As you open up more through your chest, maybe let your head draw toward the back plane of your body. Roll your right hip as much as that feels okay to you. So it might be a little roll, might be a big roll. And then gently back upright. And then walk your hands forward again. And then this time, left arm out to the left and right arm out to the left. And as you bring your arms out to the left and start to turn your belly and turn your ribs a little bit more, take a big breath. And then you can decide if you're coming down onto elbows here or staying up on hands. And if you're using your right big toe to help you walk your leg back behind you, your choice. All are options. You can always come back a little ways or come back a lot. And then gently rise back up, coming back into center, and spring. Both knees out in front. And then come to legs out in front, feet together in your butterfly. Legs in as close as your body is ready for. And lift up through your heart. Hold on where you need to have a tall spine. Just take a moment here to notice for yourself whatever is there. Maybe you have some residual sensations from the last stretches. And then if it's in your practice, if you'd like to take a little fold, you're welcome to here. Walking your hands forward if you want, or bringing hands or elbows up to a prop in front of you. A couple more full, deep breaths here. And now rising all the way back up, we're going to shift back to our hands and knees for one last stretch before we come onto our backs. So as you bring your legs to the side and shift forward onto hands and knees. We're going to take a little more stretch through the back body, getting a little bit into the ribs and into the lats. So from hands and knees, walk your left fingertips straight ahead from your right hand and round upward into your cat pose, and then shift your hips back toward your heels. Take a big breath into your left side. And maybe pulse a little bit with your breath here, so your hips might move a little up and down as you breathe. And then inhale back up to center and reset yourself. Just take one full breath in a cat and cow, moving through your spine. And then back to neutral, right fingertips walk straight ahead of your left hand. And then round upward into your cat pose. Shift your hips back as far as is comfortable. And then begin to take those breaths. Particularly noticing that expansion through the right side. But maybe allow that little bit of pulse to happen. And then all the way back upright. And you can bring your hips off to the side. And now we're going to lay all the way down onto our backs. So find your props, make sure they're handy. But first thing, we'll come back to that windshield wiper. As you lay all the way down, knees are bent, walk your feet out wider than your mat. Wider than your hips for sure. And then drop knees slowly side to side. And as you take your legs slowly side to side, you can always reach your arms up overhead. Just notice for yourself, you can remember back to the start of class when we did this. Notice for yourself if there's any difference in the movement. If it feels pretty much the same, there's no right or wrong answer there. You just get to take the time to notice. And now as your legs come over to the left side, check your right thigh. Make sure that it's straight ahead from your hip. And then if you would like to, we're flexing our feet. If you'd like, you can set your left foot over your thigh for a little added stretch there. The other option, if that doesn't feel good, is to keep your foot on the ground and use your right hand to help you lift your hip a little bit and roll it a little bit toward the left. And then if your foot is on your thigh, go ahead and take it off. And then legs back up to center, feet wide. Drop your knees over to the right side. And again, check your left thigh. Make sure it's not angled to the right, but straight ahead. And then feet flex. And if you'd like to, you can add that stretch with your foot over the top of your thigh. Or you can keep your foot down and use your left hand to help you roll your hip a little further to the right. whichever feels best. Feet active helps to keep a little stability for the ankles and the knees. So if you have any tension or difficulty through the ankles or knees, maybe make this action a little bit less. And then gently remove the foot or release the hip, whichever you're doing, and then bring your legs back into center, arms back by your sides, and simply draw your knees in together to touch for a moment. You can take your hands to your hips here if you'd like to. Or just relax your hands, relax your arms. Take a couple big breaths into your back body, into your hips, into any places where sensation has shown up. And now you're walking your feet back into about hip distance and picking the prop you'd like to use. We'll take our restorative pose with the added front body stretch if that feels good. So I'm going to use a big blue block, but you can always use a blanket so it can be a little lower, or a bolster. You choose. As you lift your hips, slip your prop underneath your hips. And you might have to do a little adjusting to make it comfortable on the sacrum or wherever you might be feeling tension. And from this place, test it out if you'd like, stretching legs out in front of you, arms overhead. And if that doesn't feel good, you can always walk your feet back in or your arms back in. If it feels comfortable to close your eyes, you're welcome to. As you find the stretch that's right for your body, take a moment to utilize your breath as your tool to help calm and soothe many of the places where you might be holding on a little bit or a lot. About 3 more breaths in this pose. And then gently walk your feet in if you have your legs extended. Arms back by your sides. And then as you inhale, lift your hips and slip your prop out and set your hips all the way down. And from here, you can pull knees up into your chest if you want to, or you can simply drop your knees in together to touch. But take just a moment to feel. Take a full breath. And then right knee into your chest, left leg extends, and take a couple of pulses here. As we did in the very beginning, use your exhales to help you draw in a little bit more. Inhale, switch sides. And exhale, draw your knee in. And continue to pulse a few times with your breath. And now inhale, switch sides, and open the knee up to the right side. Flex your foot, and again, forward and back movement here, or in and out movement here. And now draw your leg back into center, give a good squeeze in towards your side. And then take the right leg across to the left side. And again, you can use props here if you want to, but we're gonna extend our leg if it feels good, and you might have to shift your hips a little bit more. But then long through your leg. So maybe prop the calf or the thigh or the foot, or maybe keep your leg bent. That's okay too. If your leg is straight, then flex your foot just a little bit, just a gentle flex. And take a couple big breaths. And then bend your knee to come back into center. And releasing your left leg all the way out, or your right leg all the way out rather. Draw your left knee in. Give a good squeeze into your side. And then open it up to the right side or to the left side. Losing my directions now. Flex your foot and then forward and back or in and out with your movement. And then back into center with your knee and all the way across your body. And again, you might have to shift your hips or shift your shoulders to find that more comfortable place for your twist. Feel free to prop and extend your leg or to keep your leg bent, either one. Flex your foot. Take a full big breath. And notice this side. Notice what's happening in your body for you. And now gently bend your knee and come back into center. And set both feet on the ground. And now you're picking for yourself the position you'd like to be in for Shavasana. If you'd like to come to legs up the wall, you're welcome to. Or prop your knees open in a butterfly. Or one of my favorites lately is to create a little bit of a lift for my legs with a couple blocks and my bolster. Set my legs over. So come to that place for you that really tunes into how you need to release and let go right now. And as you find that for yourself, use those first few breaths, 3 or 4 breaths, to shift and move in the body to make it more comfortable. And then give yourself permission to let go, to release the movement, and come to stillness. Begin to take a deeper breath. Adding movement into fingers and toes, maybe wrists and ankles. When you're ready to, bend your knees and roll over to your side. And then gently press yourself back to your seat. And bring hands to connect at heart center. And for a couple more full deep breaths, just tune into what's there. Allowing a moment of being present. Have a very peaceful, very beautiful rest of your day. Have a wonderful weekend. Namaste.